And it didn't play music. Okay. I don't know
That's
what happened.
we're on the air.
I
It
know
didn't play.
what happened.
It did not play music because if you recall last week, Nathan, something happened to the stream and we had to
Yeah,
restart.
I broke it.
So I set it to not do the outro or intro music for part 2. I wanted to
Okay.
jump right back into it, so you have to
I
reset
appreciate
that
it.
back. But
Okay. Thank you
we're
for telling me. I'll do that next time. Anyway, everybody, welcome to this is the Big Freaking Friday show. Honestly, we should do an open like this, cold open more often. I think people get used to the way we do our shows and they fall in love with that intro song. Thank you for everybody being here on a big Friday night. It's another news dump Friday, a bunch of new quotes out there about the college football playoff and new rules and governance and all kinds of stuff in Congress, and we'll cover all that stuff and whatnot. But really quick, let's do a shout out to those that are here early with us. Thank you for being here tonight. We really appreciate you, and we do start off the show with one. I want to get this first before we do anything else. We got a $10 super chat from Mark Bowman. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here tonight. Mark is a valuable member of the College Football Mafia family, and you can tell that because he has that little symbol next to his name. $10 super chat as well. Balmer, you and Mark Rogers together along with an interesting guest. What a great idea. That was Bob Thompson. Did you guys catch that interview on Tuesday?
I watched the replay. I watched the replay on Wednesday.
Bob was live. He said some stuff. He was live. He's normally saying stuff, but that was pretty. I'm going to rebump that show later in the night. I'll repost that link so everybody can watch it. It was it was open members. Anybody could watch it. Didn't have to be a member, and it was a lot of fun. Bob Thompson really talks about media money and organization and college football playoff. Is fantastic interview. So I want to thank him and Mark Rogers for doing that with me as well. We've also had Moen released a video last night, and then you did one the year before, the night before. Let's start with Moen's from last night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, last night, members only video about UNC Chapel Hill. And I had to produce that video around a lot of phone calls yesterday. Spoke to the Big Ten wizard.
Yeah,
no way.
The wizard.
Spoke to somebody in Chicago. Spoke to somebody out west. It was a busy day for me yesterday. I considered going for a live members only stream at 8:00, but I was just too exhausted by the time last night. So I'm going to be dropping some new conference realignment stuff this after. So we'll do it in the second hour. We won't. We're
going to get Big Ten Wizard news on this live show, guys. So stay tuned. Moen has it right now. We're going to reveal it all. Big updates coming here.
Absolutely. We'll do that in the second hour. We'll let Bomber get through his headlines because I know we've got a lot of headlines tonight. Big news dump on a Friday. So we're going to jump into that.
Okay. You want to tell everybody about your video Wednesday night?
Oh, absolutely. We did a carve out of the tier maker from last week.
Oh, that was awesome, by the way.
That was, that tier maker was way fun. It got cut off a little short and everything.
My fault.
It's all good. Hey, but guys, we got a new Big 12 Stadium video coming out this next Wednesday. Been recorded. It's locked and loaded. So awesome stuff. We're re-examining last year's rankings to this year. So look for it on Wednesday, 2 p.m. Mountain Time.
I love it. Let's before we get to headlines, do some quick shout outs. Outlaw Skies was first in the house. 5th, go Buckeyes. Thank you so much. Outlaw Skies, that is, of course, Ohio State, and he is a member of the College Football Mafia family. The Big Lubbock, first in our heart always, shows up tonight. Go Texas Tech. Good to have you here, Lubbock. Buckshot Kid is another one that's normally in early. Oh, hey, at the College Football Mafia. It's strange to see him at 3, actually. Movie Time Blues. If I'm North Carolina State, I'm praying that UNC goes to the Big Ten. If I'm Duke, I'm praying UNC goes to the SEC. You guys have any comments on that?
Stick around to the second hour.
Moen, I don't know if we can wait over the second hour. This is a big time. I don't know if I can wait, honestly. And Moen, I prepared some material, too, for this live show.
Okay.
And I'm not going to reveal it till we hear what the wizard has to say, too.
Okay. Well,
I want to see if it's in alignment.
It's going to be a little bit of a soliloquy in the second hour. So I know we got a lot of headlines we got to get through. So we'll hit it in the second hour. I promise. It'll be worth the wait. It will be worth the wait. I promise.
I know this, that when Ute gets itchy, that means there's something going on. So I appreciate him being here early and doing that and keeping that energy up. Kenneth Maynor, again, back to the ECU Pirates on Tuesday night. He was back to Florida, so he switches every show. Valuable member of the College Football Mafia family, saying UNC is bringing someone with them to the SEC. The question is it Duke, North Carolina State, or Virginia?
Virginia.
Man, I don't know. We'll find out. Nick Kelso in the house, another newer member of the College Football Mafia family. Thank you so much, Nick, for being here tonight. I'm guessing that UNC and Virginia make their moves in separate times. At separate times, UNC will become valuable. SEC goes down its checklist. UVA, Duke, Virginia Tech, then North Carolina State, and then partner with FSU and Clemson. So, boy, talk about a big sweep for the SEC.
UVA, Duke, Virginia Tech, NC State, FSU, and Clemson.
That's crazy number for the SEC. We'll have to see. Conundrum in the house. Good to have you here. Conundrum says, I'm confused. Aren't you always confused, Conundrum? Isn't that the point of your name?
The conundrum.
Explain the title of the show, please, Moen.
Yeah, it's the title of the show. We're talking about North Carolina State, the University of North Carolina, the Wolfpack backpack, as it were. And then we're going to talk about Duke's master plan, because I have been in touch with lots of people. And it's interesting news. It's very interesting news for people in the Big Ten realignment sphere.
All right, let's get to a couple more shout-outs, and then we will jump to the news. Daniel, the other guy, Gax, is in the house. He's also a moderator and contributor to the College Football Mafia family. Skaven Yes is, hello, gentlemen, go Big Red. Nebraska's got a tipping point season, guys. Nebraska is a tipping point season. Matt Rule could get run. They haven't been over 500 in the Big Ten for like 11 years or some crazy number. Man, I miss the old Nebraska. That's all I'm going to say. And the last one is Mark's Holy Grail. Also somebody who's not only a valuable member, but he's become a contributor, does a lot of the stuff on the college football playoff. Look him up on the library at the College Football Mafia channel, and he's got playoff videos in there that I've done with him. Mark's Holy Grail says, "Happy Friday, Bomber, Ute, and Moen." Okay, let's get to some news. That's where I want to start. Everybody knows that's why I like Fridays. And my favorite lawyer to be online, Mitt Winter, has become a really good confidant. He and I, he answers questions for me, and not everybody sees these things, but I really appreciate his opinion. This post was from today. It was an evaluation of a Ross Dillinger original tweet. Let me put out that comment so everybody has access to it, because, of course, we give credit where credit's due. The original post from Ross Dillinger says 26 of the 32 Division I conference commissioners sent a letter to Sens Maria Cantwell and Ted Cruz supporting their potential Senate bill to regulate college sports. It is supposed to be paired with the SCORE Act that is trying to get through the House. A reminder, the senators remain in negotiations and an agreement hasn't been reached. And that's 26, right? Did I read that right? 26 out of 32. So not quite all the way there. Well, anyways, Mitt Winter says, very interesting that the Big Ten and SEC are two of the conferences that did not sign the letter. I think it's safe to assume that means the Senate bill will include a provision allowing or requiring the consolidation of media rights. So let me say that again, and then I'm going to kick it to you, Moen. The reason that the Big Ten and the SEC, according to Mitt Winter, have not signed on to this new legislation because somewhere in the legislation it says we're going to consolidate media rights. Moen, where do we go from here?
Well, first of all, we've got to figure out what this actually says. They're still in negotiations. There's still things out there. Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti both came out and basically said the same thing. We want to see what it says before we sign a letter endorsing it.
Exactly right.
Which is the very wise way to put it. But if they try and force consolidation of media rights on college football, on the Big Ten and the SEC in particular, you're going to see both those conferences pull away.
So force is a word nobody likes to hear, right? Nobody wants.
Yeah, the Big Ten and the
anything.
SEC don't care if everybody else consolidates their media rights. We don't.
They don't.
They don't care.
And,
but if you
and
try
having
yeah,
it's a stupid idea to have legislation force people to do things, give up billions and billions of dollars. There's no way something like that makes it through Congress, can it? I don't see how. Ute?
I don't see it. Yeah, that's not happening. And the SCORE Act isn't happening, and none of this is happening, from my point of view. None of it. So
I agree.
None.
I agree.
None.
I agree. Okay, we can move right on. Lots of stuff to cover tonight. This one's from Brandon Marcello. Let me post the link for this. I love Brandon. He's become somebody that I follow. I don't always pay attention to some of the other reporters everybody's used to. I try to find guys that are a little deeper in the woods. This post from Brandon Marcello is in response to an article that was written on CBS Sports. And basically it says ACC ADs coaches have thrown their support behind a 2014 college football playoff. Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark tells CBS Sports his conference also supports a 2014 model. And lo and behold, the first conference that wanted a 2014 playoff was actually the Big 10. So you have 3 of the 4 A4 conferences talking about a 24-team playoff. What do you think about this news?
I think it's big time news. Everyone's putting the pressure on the SEC right now. The SEC is the only conference that doesn't want a 24-team model. There's some teams in it that do, but the conference itself does not. The reason is ESPN. They're going to lose their leverage here with having a monopoly on college football playoff rights, guys. So it's a big deal and stuff. It's a big fight between Fox and ESPN. There's a lot of layers to it, but it's going to get done. The SEC thinking they're going to go silo, they're going to push back, and they've got all this power. They're the second most strong conference today. They're not even number 1 anymore. They don't have the leverage that they think they do. They don't have the leverage that they really believe they do. No chance. The Big Ten has all that leverage now, and so does the rest of the college football universe. This is going to collapse right on their face, and they're going to do it.
Moen?
Yeah, the ACC is a little surprising.
It is, isn't it? Let's explain that, because the ACC is driven by ESPN.
Correct.
Right?
They are the main partner is ESPN. They also operate the ACC network alongside ESPN. Yep. So it was a little interesting to see that they actually came out and were like, we're for a 2014 model.
I agree.
The Big 12 does not surprise me, because the Big 12 has been left at, BYU's been left out the last 2 years. You could make an argument that Utah deserved to be in last year. So obviously a 2014 playoff, if we just go look at the previous 2 playoff scenarios, the Big 12 makes out big. The Big 12, I think you did it in a video. It actually ends up coming out ahead of both the Big 10 and the SEC in a 2014 model.
You get so many teams in like that 12 to 20 range for the Big 12. Like, you're just littered with teams ranked in that area. The question will be, though, will they still be ranked in that area when the new polls come out because of the pressures of putting Big 10 and SEC in? Like, will those secondary Big 10 and SEC teams that were unranked or maybe sitting at 25, 24, they're going to jump up now in the teams for the rankings? That's what I'm going to be interested in seeing. I'm cynical about the whole ranking system, so I'm thinking yes. The answer to that is going to be a strong yes. But can the Big 12 and the ACC, can they get multiple teams in? They're going to get 2, you'd hope. 3 has to be the target, 3 or more. But it's going to be better than 1. I think that we're all just sick of 1. So let's see something else. Let's see 24 and get 3 in.
Yeah, it actually says there's 23 additional teams that would have been unique in the playoffs since the 12-team playoff model started. The ACC would have had 4 more. BYU was the only school that got screwed 2 times.
Right.
The SEC has 6 on that number. So even they're getting more teams than they've been, getting originally. The Big 10 only gets 4, but they've also done pretty well by winning national championships. So Bud Elliott, college football, look him up on Twitter. It's a fantastic graphic. I will show it again at the end of the show. But that really encapsulates how much of a difference expanding it past 12 goes. And before we get off of this topic, I'm going to ask one other question, Ute. What is this idea that because you expand the field, it means the regular season doesn't mean anything at all? All of a sudden, we've lost the tradition, the nonsense. I don't know if it's Josh Pate or Ari. I don't know who said it. Yes, Ari Wasserman said something ridiculous like the game, meaning Michigan and Ohio State. All of a sudden, they would sit their players and not want to win that game so that they can tune up to be in the playoff. It's a ridiculous notion.
People in SEC country are saying this a lot, and I get it too. From like the SEC country, you had a dominance run of 20 years in the 14 playoff and the 12-team playoff, especially the 14 playoff, where you're just killing it, winning championships every year. It was the good days for those conferences, and they are fond of that. They remember that. They want that still. They want the dominance. They want to be number one. They want to be SEC. It's changed, though. And so, like, that's their perspective. They're living in that world, and so expanding and stuff seems very foreign, uncomfortable, and everything. That's the best thing for the game. It's going to make more compelling matchups everywhere, including in the SEC down the line, because you're going to have bangers. Think about rivalry weekend, guys.
I know.
Oh my gosh. It's not just like, hey, there's one or two matchups that could have playoff implications. Like you could probably
every
have
matchup.
8.
Yeah.
It's like you could have a banger after banger after banger of playing type games like all season long. It's just going to create more viewership. It's going to be dynamic, and it's going to give hope to the non-P2 conferences to watch like races. Once you have one loss or 2 losses, you're not completely out anymore. Like that's how it is in the Big 12. If you have 2 losses, you're done. You're not in the playoff race anymore.
Yeah.
And if you're in the G6, like if you got 1 loss, you're probably done. So I think it's a beautiful thing for everybody else. I think it's going to increase viewership everywhere. So I'm excited for it.
Mo, I'll give you the last word, and then we got some super chats to get to.
I would strongly suggest that Michigan does sit their starters for the game. I would appreciate that. And I totally encourage them doing that. But that's not going to happen. But we've seen for a long time the best team doesn't necessarily win the national championship because
That's
best
right.
team
That's right. Miami was a 10 seed. Ohio State was an 8 seed. I mean, what are we talking about here? How stupid is that? It's dumb.
Even seasons prior, a Big Ten team loses one game. Ohio State, 2015, loses a game to Michigan State at home. Eliminates them from playoff contention. Michigan State ends up going and getting blown out by Alabama when it was widely believed that Ohio State was probably the best team on the field that year.
Yeah.
But that was the way it used to be. You lose one game and you're just suddenly out. So for a lot of people, they lose interest. You brought it up. What if you lose week 3 and week 5? What's there to bring you back for week 6, 7, 8, 9?
Well, now there is, though.
Now there is.
Get into the playoff.
Now you can get into the playoffs. So, and if we're going to move towards larger conferences, you just have to have a larger playoff format.
Earl Carr, the BYU Cougar, in the house, $5 super chat. Earl Carr was like the 3rd or 4th sub to this channel over 3 years ago. We appreciate you, Earl. $5 super chat tonight. Everyone is forgetting the SEC and Big Ten fanboys at ESPN. So the 24 team will actually hurt the Big 12 until proven otherwise. There is this thought, Ute, and I'd love to dispel it, but I'll let you do it, that there is this idea that the SEC and the Big 10 will each get 10 teams in to a 24-team playoff, and the Big 12 still only gets 1 team in. The math doesn't math. But can you speak to that, please?
I mean, I get it and stuff, and like there's some truth to it. Like Earl, like the Big 10 and
it's
the SEC
PTSD.
are going to get. Yeah, it kind of is PTSD because the Big 12's only got 1, and we've got, especially being a BYU fan, like you've gotten screwed 2 consecutive years. We've talked about it for a long time. Screwed. So I get the cynical thoughts on that, and I share a lot of it with you. But the field is so big that you can't just slam all Big 10 and SEC teams in there. I think you're going to get at least per year 2 Big 12 teams in, and probably 3.
I would say 3.
Yeah. I mean, like we'll see, but it's a heck of a lot better than 1 because when you're playing in a 16-team conference and only the championship winner goes to the playoff, that sucks, guys. We've got way too many good teams in this conference to have 1 team get in the playoff, and you have to run the table and win a 16-league conference and a power conference to get 1 berth. That is really hard for anybody, And so I just want to see more bids. 2 is better than 1. 3 is excellent. More is great. Like, so just give me more. And I think that we're going to see it in 24.
Moen?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think there's lots of Big Ten teams that I think could have made a run at it in previous years if they'd have been allowed in it. I think there's a lot of SEC teams. People were singing the praises last year of, South Carolina and Georgia and all these in Vandy and all these programs that were
Texas.
just on the edge, couldn't get in. Now they can, but I think the SEC's you're probably going to end up with AQs in the 24. I do think that's going to happen, and I think
let's talk about that really quick. I don't have an article to reference on that, Moen, but let's talk about AQs. Say the SEC to negotiate this up. They say they want six. The Big Ten says they want 6, and the ACC and the Big 12 both say we want at least 3. Where does that get us? That gets us to 18. That still leaves 6 spots, including 1 for Notre Dame.
Correct.
So it's not top heavy. It's not broken.
I think going 6 AQs is a little heavy.
5. I mean, I'd be happier with less. I'm just saying.
Right. I'm saying maybe 4 for the Big Ten, 4 for the SEC, 2 for the Big 12, 2 for the ACC.
Boom.
Because
I'm completely fine with that.
2.
I love that idea.
2 for G6, and then the rest will be at-large bids.
I would prefer.
I think it's
4,
fantastic.
4, 4. I would love 4, 4, 3, 3.
Right.
I would love that too, right? But give me 2 AQs at least. We talked about this for so long, Nate. Like, we know that the committee's not going to take care of the Big 12 or the ACC. So give AQs, give multiple AQs, and we'll be happy.
Yep. I agree with you. Earl, we feel you, brother. Utah, BYU, we understand this pain.
We do.
So we're for you. I'm just saying, turn the page. We got to walk away from the PTSD and just start living our lives. And I think we can be successful. We just got to get into this stupid thing.
You know how many years it's been? Like with Utah, when they were in the pack, they were like kind of right there in the 14 playoff a couple times. And then like with BYU and Utah last year, with BYU last couple of years, there's been like so many years of snubs for the state of Utah to get in the playoff. It's never happened. I think that changes this season. I think it changes this season. It's either going to be BYU or Utah getting in the playoff this year.
Let's go. Okay. We'll get there. Becky Go Huskies, contributor around here. By the way, quick update. I talked to Sergeant Pickles. He's doing fine. They're expecting a new baby in a couple of months or so. So he's just been very, very busy. But I wanted to tell all of College Football Mafia Nation, Sergeant Pickles is still out there. He's just living his life, and we applaud him for that. His family's growing, and he's got a new house. So we want him to be doing very well, but he is doing okay. Becky Go Huskies for the Washington Huskies in the house. $5 super chat. No 2014 playoff without an auto bid for Boston College each season. Boy, I couldn't handle that. Let's do some Sounders, Moen. Let's do Iowa, a BYU, and a Huskies.
Okay, let's do the Iowa one.
Let's do it.
Plays. It's going to play any minute now. Any minute now.
Milk.
Well, you know what?
How about BYU?
Let's just do some general ones that I've got stored here.
Go ahead.
The tablet. I think the hamster in the tablet died.
Just go ahead and go.
Let's do a gong.
That was legitness. Yeah, it was. Huh? I'm a bad man. You hear me?
Let's go. Stop!
He's already dead.
Oh my gosh. Is that it? Any more? I got another super. Okay.
Oh no, we got a pop up. Okay.
Yeah. Kenneth Maynard, member for 10 months. Thank you so much, Kenneth. Happy Friday from Tobacco Road, not burning here. UNC gearing up for that SEC invite. Board of Trustees denying tenure for pro Big Ten professors and increasing funding for political diversity on campus. Thank you so much, Kenneth. We appreciate you being a member. Go ahead, Moen, why don't you talk on that one really quick?
Yeah, it's true. And Kenneth probably watched my video from yesterday. There's factions at UNC, and everybody has their own faction, and everybody wants something. a lot of the academic people at UNC want Big Ten, and pretty obvious reasons why. It's a more academic prestige conference than the SEC is. It's not to say there's not good schools in the SEC. There certainly are, but not to the level and the expanse of the Big Ten. So, there are a lot of professors who are pushing back on the idea of joining the SEC, especially when they can look and see the Big Ten Academic Alliance, the Cancer Research Consortium, all the sort of things that they could be getting into. In addition, Virginia is pushing towards the Big Ten, and Virginia and North Carolina have been lockstep in a lot of things.
Ute, you want to comment on this?
I think that Kenneth is nails. I think Moan's nails. I think that UNC will navigate its way into the SEC with high degree of confidence, and I think they're going to pull their partner Virginia along with them eventually. Despite the amusings right now with the Big Ten and Virginia, I think it's going to be too tempting not to go with UNC to the Southeastern Conference. And just like we had talked about many, many months ago, I think it's going to be UNC and UVA in the SEC.
All right, I'm going to leave it there. One more news story, and we're not going to do an hour full of news, Moan. We're going to give an extra half hour for not only your Wizard reporting, but I'm going to get discussion going with people talking back to us, more comments than we've been able to get to the last couple of weeks. This is the last one, and I'm going to just leave this out there. You guys can comment or not, but it's how's Notre Dame ACC getting along now? Notre Dame, a source told On3, and this is Brett McMurphy reporting, is the guy that walks into the house, opens the fridge, eats all the food, then screws the wife, kicks the dog, doesn't pay the mortgage, and walks out without any skin in the game. I'm going to just put that out there without any sort of analysis. Do you guys have any comments you want to put on that one?
That's the biggest banger of a sentence I've ever seen.
I absolutely have something I want to say about this. It's very funny that it's listed as a source, because I believe Brett McMurphy is probably protecting somebody. This is somebody within an athletic department in the ACC. And you can count on one hand the number of athletic departments that is. So this is, I know he put a media source, a source familiar with. This is somebody in an athletic department in the ACC. And it's, to be fair, do they pay the mortgage? They do pay some of the mortgage. They usually, a game against Boston College and Notre Dame sells out. A game against Boston College and Wake Forest don't. So they're, but he's right. They don't have any skin in the game. So yeah, I definitely think this came through an athletic department, and I think there's maybe 5 schools, but it's probably closer to 3 schools where this came out of.
Florida State, Moan.
I'm not going to say, but I'm going to say 3 schools.
Yeah. I mean, I can speculate. Like, you don't have to say anything, but it seems like something that would come out of Tallahassee to me.
All I know is that the thoughts that came out after they got snubbed last year in the playoff, turned down the Pop-Tarts Bowl and said, we're going to take our ball and go home. And then there was that interplay about selling Miami, not selling Notre Dame, all these other things. There's real pain behind this quote. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to analyze it. I'm not going to even say some schools that could have done this, but the relationship is breaking down. And for some, it might've already gotten broken.
And like, this is just a testament, guys, like to the Big 12 fans that want to add Notre Dame. Look at that sentence and it really.
I'll put it back. Go ahead.
Notre Dame to join. Say that Notre Dame leaves the ACC. They don't go to the Big 10. There's a lot of Big 12 fans that are begging Notre Dame to come and have the same type of deal with the Big 12. Look at the sentence. Don't do it. No, Notre Dame's not coming to the Big 12 unless they bring their football. No chance. No chance. We're not going to let them open the fridge, eat all our food, don't pay the mortgage, and walk out with no skin in the game. No chance.
All right. I'm going to leave it at that. I knew that would be fun to go over.
I just want to – you don't have to pull it back up, but I want to say as soon as Pete Bavacqua, the AD for Notre Dame, said our relationship with the ACC is stronger than ever, it's over.
The vote of confidence, the dreaded vote of confidence.
It's over. It's over. It's just, they just haven't filed papers yet.
In the future, and I'm talking maybe next week, stories are soon going to start coming out about where could they go on top of what we've already been reporting for months and months and months. A quote like this is enough to actually break things. And they don't apologize for nothing. So Notre Dame, that story could change tomorrow. And the rest of the world would go, yep, you're Notre Dame. We're going to kiss your ass and pat your head and send you down the road. And I hate the fact they're that powerful, but they are. Everybody's bending over for Notre Dame. I get what you're saying, the Big 12, we want them. At the end of the day, they bring so much attention that by themselves, they're keeping the ACC alive as it exists right now. Last year it would have fallen apart if negotiations had broken down with Florida State and Clemson in their lawsuit. Sorry. Yeah, it was Clemson. Yeah. What are you doing? You're suing your own conference, the guy who's not even in it, but you're blaming for suing the conference. I mean, it's all such a mess, guys. Anyway.
I think it's just the fact that they cater to Notre Dame so much and they're not really in all the way, right?
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah.
And that creates like a lack of unity, right?
Agreed.
Naturally and everything, and it creates divisiveness in the conference because there's like somebody that's like above everybody else in the conference, and that's Notre Dame. It's just not healthy, right?
Completely agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean the Notre Dame thing is too. You're right. Everybody's going to kiss their ass because they're the last outside of UConn football, the last independent football program out there, and they put butts in seats. They put eyeballs on television. It's why everybody wants them. But when the ACC network and ESPN decided to play that Notre Dame Miami game on a loop for 24 hours the day before the selection show, that's basically, the ACC taken aside. And I'm not saying the ACC is wrong for it. I think the ACC was completely justified in doing that. Miami deserved to be in that playoff. They showed it. They made it to the national championship game. But, listen, when Pete Mavacqua comes out and says the relationship is stronger than ever, how many times have we seen that with politicians and people in scandals? And
it's the kiss of death.
Stronger than ever. Yeah, it's stronger than ever. It's just going to make us more tight.
$5 super chat from LC versus the Earth. Good to have you here tonight, LC versus the Earth. A member of the College Football Mafia family. $5 super chat. Breaking: North Carolina exploring SEC membership to compete alongside programs powered equally by nostalgia and preseason rankings.
Dang.
Come on, you guys have got to react to that. That's a fantastic.
I was on mute for a second, but I was just like, wow, there's so much truth to this. It's nuts. Like it just maybe could take like a second half step mentally.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like it's based on its history, nostalgia, preseason rankings, the talking heads, the SEC, 100%.
I'm trying to think of the nostalgia factor for UNC in football.
Well, how about it broke right before the Colorado game last year in the first quarter, in the first two, but UNC's a national power. UNC go back to basketball within the span of about a half hour. It was incredible how quickly that.
I'm really trying to think of the last time UNC was really good at football.
Mac Brown, late 90s. Mac Brown, late 90s.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it.
To Texas.
Yeah, Butch Davis was there for a cup of coffee.
But they were Mac Brown was their the first iteration of Mac Brown.
Yeah, but what are we going back to the early 90s or late 90s?
Late 90s,
yeah, so I just don't know. I appreciate the humor, LC versus the Earth, but I just don't know that there's any football nostalgia for UNC to fall back on. I mean, even try and think of players that came out of UNC. Julius Peppers.
That was a long time ago, man. He's in the Hall of Fame or something, isn't he?
Giovanni Bernard, and I only know Giovanni Bernard because of the Cincinnati Bengals. So I don't know what nostalgia UNC has.
It was a quarterback that was real good. That was like good.
The fact that we can't just name it like that tells you, was he?
It was like that 5 years ago or less. It's the
no, I don't. Maybe. Oh wait, Drake May was UNC.
Drake May, and then they had another guy before him.
I don't remember the other guy. I remember Drake May though.
I remember the other guy because he's a bust.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
what's his name?
I don't know it.
You know that
Was it
first round kid for
Cade?
UNC.
Was it Cade
No.
Klubnik?
Cade Klubnik. No, he played it. He's Clemson.
Oh no, you're right. It's Mitch something. Mitchell Trubisky.
Mitch Trubisky.
Trubisky.
Mitchell Trubisky.
He was not great. He was.
That's what I'm saying.
But
he
he
was
was
a
like
bust.
high pick, man.
No, I was talking about Drake May. That was.
Yeah, Drake May was a good pick.
Anyway, Coppa Major well until he runs into Seahawks defense. Let's go. $10 super chat from Capo OE Major Moen. Is that right?
Capo Major.
Zero Major. Cop Zero Major, maybe. $10 super chat. Ridiculous. Thank you for being here, Cop. I apologize for getting your name wrong. Moen will correct me at some point. Appreciate you being here. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you subscribe to the channel on YouTube. And if you're watching on X, jump on over and open a new window on YouTube. Go to College Football Mafia and we pop up. Hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up and a comment. I still think we land on 24 teams in both the SEC and the Big Ten. Notre Dame Indy time. Living on the edge. That's a hashtag. Aerosmith reference. Yes, we get the Aerosmith reference.
Very nice.
You're thinking two 24-team leagues, I'm guessing. I don't think it goes that big, but guys,
I think Big 10 goes 24. I think SEC 20, Big 12 20.
I think Big 12 is more likely to go 24 than the Big 10 is.
Yeah. I think Big 10 24. And then I think the SEC probably goes to 20, but the SEC may stick at 18. They may.
Yeah. It could happen. For sure. At the end of the day, why are you growing? That's the question.
Market
Are you going to
expansion.
24 just to go to 24, or are you going to 24 because you want to dominate it and basically close it in to have it be one thing?
Just more geography, more regions, more money, more national advertising.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's
maybe.
just like geography acquisition, like a business strategy.
I don't think there's enough money to do it. That is all I'm saying. I don't think there's enough money to do it. Another super chat, and then Moen, you can do some sounders. $5 super chat from LC versus the Earth again. I was referencing basketball. My bad. So let's go back to this one. Basketball now.
Okay.
Okay, that makes more sense there, LC. I love it. It's fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, it's a basketball school for sure.
We support that completely. North Carolina is the it for sure. All right, Moen, I'm giving you 25 extra minutes tonight. Just to tease everybody, buckle up. Tobacco Road is burning. Let me get my banner up here so people can pay attention.
Gosh.
Tobacco Road is burning. Will UNC dump North Carolina State and Duke's master plan, and we will involve the one, the only Big Ten Wizard. So Moen, go ahead.
All right. Well, let's play some sounders first. We've had some super chats, and we appreciate
go ahead.
all
Yeah,
those.
of course.
Yep, tablet doesn't work. So we're going to go to the media assets, and we're going to use those. Here we go. We got a little of this.
That's right. We bad. That's right.
The most rewarding part was when he gave me my money.
Winner.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said
Let him cook.
I love it. Got some of them working, Moen.
I mean, really, the fact, dude, the fact.
Yeah, Tobacco Road is burning.
Let's go.
North Carolina needs to figure out what they're doing. Are they taking North Carolina State along with them? I know that there's a contingency that wants to go to the SEC. Is the SEC willing to take North Carolina State? Is the North Carolina Board of Governors willing to allow that to happen? Will their legislature allow that to happen? Those two schools are tied much in the same way Virginia and Virginia Tech are. So it's a big question. Do you sever the Wolfpack backpack? And, this is a question we've brought up before. North Carolina is going to have to be the one to make the first move. That's pretty much common knowledge at this point. North Carolina has to move first because I should strike that. North Carolina or Notre Dame have to move first. But everybody thinks it's going to be North Carolina. So what does North Carolina do? Do they go to the SEC? Do they go to the Big Ten? How do they resolve the North Carolina State problem?
What does the wizard say, Moan?
The wizard doesn't have any information on that. The wizard has information on the other person in Tobacco Road, being Duke. And some of Duke's one term I heard used was incessant. Incessant calls to a Big Ten school. But a lot of what we talked about was Duke is pitching. You know, John F. Kennedy had a saying, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Duke is going around there not asking what they can do for the Big Ten. They're asking people in the Big Ten what Duke can do for them. To the point that they're doing tailored pitches now. They're going into a school. They're figuring out where they can align with that school. And they are pitching directly to that school. They have reached out to the West Coast schools. I verified that. They've reached out to Northwestern. I've talked about it in the past. They've had very good conversations with the University of Michigan. But they're pitching everybody something different. It's not one general pitch. It's not Duke brings this to the Big Ten. It's Duke brings this to University A. Duke can bring this to University B. Duke can bring this to University C. Oh, by the way, University D, this is what Duke adds to your, this situation here for you. Some of it's athletic, some of it's academic. But, it's very, very, they're being very good about pitching directly to the people they need votes from. They are targeting a lot of the top echelon, of course, but they're not leaving people at the, like I said, Northwestern. A lot of people wouldn't think Northwestern would be that important of a vote to get for a Duke, but they have reached out to Northwestern. So, go ahead.
Mo, do you mind if just stop here and ask some clarifying questions? Because this sounds very Duke-ish. I mean, Duke is smart people at Duke. Very smart people, elite academics. But what you're saying is like a tailored consultant for every 18 schools of the Big Ten to tailor something what Duke can do for you to get your vote. Is that it's basically like a whip or something, right?
I can't confirm all 18 schools. I can confirm multiple schools. There are multiple schools, and they've tailored individual pitches for those schools. Oh. This is what Duke can bring. And the other thing is, Duke thinks regardless of where North Carolina goes, Duke believes they have a shot at the Big Ten.
Yeah. 100%.
They believe if UNC goes to the SEC, they think that makes them a perfect Big Ten target. They think that if UNC goes to the Big Ten, that they somehow might be able to ride along with UNC into the Big Ten country as a +1 with UNC to get in there as well. But yeah, Duke is not going out there pitching itself what Duke's going to do for the Big Ten. They're pitching themselves very much on what they're going to do for individual universities.
So let me ask you a question that's going to piss you off. But what is the difference in what Duke's doing now and SMU did 3 years ago? And is the Big Ten willing to lower themselves to the point of bartering to bring somebody in so desperate that they're willing to give hundreds of millions of dollars to individual schools? And what does that make the Big Ten look like? Because all I've heard since we started the show and you met with Ute and I is that the Big Ten is this elite.
Well, and for one, there's
elite, and yet all of a sudden now they're willing to basically auction off a little of their soul to get some money from the school.
It's very
in the conference.
It's very important to clarify this. I've not heard anything that Duke is promising anybody a set amount of money. It's not like they're going to Michigan and saying we're giving you $500 million.
No, I'm not saying they are. I'm saying they're giving them something. It's a trade. There's a quid pro quo.
They're pitching they're pitching stuff tailored to these universities.
Right.
That they think that a partnership, they can go to a university that might be having academic issues and say, we know you're having academic issues here, by bringing Duke on as a partner, this can help. Through that partnership, we can alleviate some of your academic situations. They could go to a university and say, we know you want to expand your postgraduate programs in, say, law school. We can help you do that because we have such a premier law school at Duke. It would be beneficial for you to have Duke in your conference to have this partnership with.
So it's a distinction without a difference.
Well, I think it's a big difference between just paying off somebody and. I'm sure
it's resources, it's people, it's organizations.
This is the same. This is the same pitch that got made by Washington and Oregon before they entered the Big Ten. They were going around to universities and pitching what adding Washington and Oregon would do.
Washington and Oregon were part of a bigger move, though. They didn't come in isolated.
No, they didn't.
And I'm not sure if they hadn't gone with USC and UCLA, I'm not sure they do make that move. If they don't do it then, I don't think 2 years later they get added to the Big Ten.
Well, I don't think Duke is doing it isolated either. Okay, Duke has, but they're going around and they are pitching individual pitches to individual schools. I think it's a little different from the SMU situation where it's like, we're not going to take any money and we're going to give you money and you can schedule games here for West Coast teams to alleviate travel concerns. And I'm not saying Duke's not doing similar things when it comes to conference media payouts. I don't know that. I've heard some things about that. I haven't been able to confirm that. What I can confirm is Duke is going to other universities and tailoring pitches to other universities. Why Duke and them would make a good partnership, and as a result, why Duke would make a good member of the Big Ten.
Let me ask you this. What's the difference between Duke doing this, and I know for a fact Utah's doing the exact same thing? Why is Duke getting the attention and Utah's not?
Duke rests in the state of North Carolina, which is a very valuable state for both the Big Ten and the SEC. Okay. Duke also has a lot more money and a lot more research than Utah does.
Yeah, just to add on to that too, Nate, Duke is a top 7 national school. All the rankings, like the more.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying they're not.
I was talking to somebody that informed me that this was like a real life situation that happened with the Duke baseball team. So apparently Duke has such wealthy donors and even like parents for a lot of their Olympic sports players that they literally have like private flights individually for players on the baseball team. Like, I'm serious. Like, there was an issue with a couple players that were taking their own private flights to away games rather than just chartering on the Duke plane. Like that just gives you a little illustration about how wealthy Duke is. So you get the market, you get an extreme amount of wealth for a small like student population that is super influential, and you get a top 7 university in elite basketball. Duke offers a lot. Guys, I think Duke's going to get the Big Ten conference. I think it's going to happen.
I will say this. Duke is lobbying hard. Like I said, the exact verbiage used was one school considered it incessant.
But see, I wouldn't think that would be endearing.
I don't think so either. But again,
just going out and throwing your feet at somebody, begging for help.
You get 99 no's, you get 1 yes. I mean, maybe that's their.
Yeah, but you need 18 yeses because Big Ten does everything unanimous.
I know, right? But Duke is out there lobbying hard. They're making tailored pitches. I was able to confirm Northwestern, some West Coast schools, and the University of Michigan. I'm sure there's others. I'm sure they've probably tailored a pitch for all 18 existing members. And just to be clear, you don't actually need 18 yeses.
No, they don't, but they've always said they do everything unanimous.
What they will do is if it goes to 75%, if it goes to 75%, then the holdouts will pitch in, and that way they can say it's unanimous. But yeah, they've really only got to sell it to like 15 schools.
So let me ask you another question. What's the difference between taking the private capital infusion that wasn't unanimous, and you were losing USC and Michigan, and bringing on a school that you will 100% from day one be subsidizing for quite a while? before their media dollars will pay back. Basketball gives them a little bit of an uplift, but as we know, football drives the bus. So if realignment is mostly football driven, academics matter, AAU matters, but at the end of the day, the media companies are not paying for Duke football.
No,
Utes done the math. And Duke football does not.
It's truth. Like, I mean, basketball is going to get a bigger bump than most because it's like the top two, maybe
right.
number one basketball brand.
But it's not enough to subsidize every year $80 million of media.
It's an overall pitch.
Okay.
Your market expansion. If you need to get into the state of North Carolina and you're the Big Ten, and UNC just went to the SEC.
Yeah.
You need to get into the state of North Carolina. What school do you take? Do you take Duke or do you take North Carolina State?
No, I get you, and I understand the logic.
You're probably going to reach for Duke. If you need to get in the state of Virginia, it's Virginia Tech or Virginia. If you can get Virginia, you're going to take Virginia. You know, it's one of those things where the enrollment cliff, we've talked about it a lot. They need to get into that mid-Atlantic area. Both of them do. The SEC and the Big Ten desperately need to get into the mid-Atlantic. They need to get into the states of Virginia. They need to get into the state of North Carolina. The Big Ten gets some bleed through in the DMV for DC with Maryland, but they also want to get a school in Virginia. So markets are still important to them. They saw how well it worked out with the West Coast teams, adding new markets, new eyeballs. They want to continue doing that. That's their next expansion is going to be targeted to try and duplicate what they did on the West Coast, and that's get new markets, new eyeballs. It's almost like a octopus stretching its tentacles across America at this point.
You has a couple of. I was just going to do some super chats, you, and then I was going to kick it to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Let's jump on the super chats.
Okay, let's do these really quick. I know you got to get your thing on. Kenneth Maynard, $10 super chat. The great Lawrence Taylor was at UNC from 1977 to 1980. Probably greatest defensive player yet of all time. Coached in the pros by Bill Belichick. Oh, whoever, if you didn't get a chance to watch Lawrence Taylor, just put that into YouTube and you will fall in love with a defensive, amazing savant.
I will just say this: when he was drafted, I couldn't even celebrate. I just rolled over in my crib and shit.
Becky Go Huskies, a $5 super chat. Duke has asked schools to tell other schools about their pitches too. So it's a little multi-level marketing-ish. We're selling to you so you can sell us down the road. I'm just teasing Becky. But Becky hears stuff in Washington as well. So I would put some credo behind that. And then last but not least, Caden the Diesel Freak in for, let's see, he's been a member for 5 months, guys. Thank you so much, Caden.
Thank you, Caden.
Hey, fellas,
Appreciate
we're
it.
110 days away from Ohio State kicking everyone's ass and winning the national championship and go undefeated.
Definitely could happen.
There you go.
Definitely.
And then last but not least, somebody I was just shouting out, Pickles. I just gave you an update. Told everybody you're doing well. It's great to see you. Long time no see, friends. As you would imagine, 3 kids and a pregnant wife takes up my free time. Cheers and go Dogs. That would be the University of Washington. Go Huskies. Thank you so much. You want to give them some sounders real quick, Moen? And then it's Ute's turn.
Sure. Let's do a winner for Ohio State.
There you go.
Let's see what this one does.
Oh, yeah.
Little Macho Man Randy Savage for Sergeant Pickles out there, man. I did want to also add in, I talked to Ryan Willie yesterday. He is not here tonight because he is attending a concert at Lambeau Field.
Good for him.
Some country.
Yeah.
He's out there living his best life, listening to 2 country musicians that he likes very much.
And we're very grateful for that. Very grateful for that, Ryan. Thank you so much for being here, man. All right, Ute, the floor is yours.
We've got one more super chat, guys, if you want to jump on that.
If you want to, we can do it after. Let's go. Let's do it now. Caden the D's Freak, $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Caden. UNC and NC State is going to the SEC, and Duke is going to the Big Ten and getting their ass kicked by the Buckeyes. I'm sensing a theme here for Ohio State. Thank you so much, Caden. We appreciate the super chats, and thank you so much for being a member of the College Football Mafia family. Caden calls in on my Tuesday night call-in show, and I also appreciate that. Okay, that's the last one.
Duke is going to take an SMU type of deal if they get in the Big Ten conference too, like Nate. So that's the big thing to think about. Like, hey, it might be an to $100 million like hurdle that you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Basketball for Duke's so valuable that brings 20, covers it. Their football brings a little bit. So say that they meet that $40 million hurdle, what they needed to get to 80 to 100 million. They're just going to take no revenue distributions. So that's just another value add financially for everybody for a decade, just like SMU.
Let me be clear here. Everybody not named Notre Dame is going to have to take some kind of a deal.
Yes.
There is not a team out there that is going to get a full share to join the Big Ten, not named Notre Dame. The only way it works is if Notre Dame joins and Notre Dame gets to pick who comes, and Notre Dame says, we'll use some of this $400 million you're getting in media money to pay to grease the skids. But first and foremost, Oregon and Washington get covered. That has to happen first. So if Notre Dame joins, you're getting some of that money is going to go to Oregon and Washington to become full members. That's part of the deal. So Miami, Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, Virginia, Duke, all these teams we're talking about for the Big Ten are more than likely not going to come in as full members. They're not going to get full revenue shares. They're going to have a deal very similar to what Oregon and Washington had. USC and UCLA was different. It got them in the Los Angeles market. It more than made enough money for them. It made sense. Unless they can renegotiate and extend this media deal, these guys are going to have to come in as partial members. And I don't think any of them really have an issue with that. I don't think Miami has an issue with that. I don't think Florida State would have an issue with that. I don't think Clemson would have an issue with that. I don't think any of them would have an issue coming in as a partial member of the Big Ten.
So all of a sudden it adds value to the Big Ten on the media contract because you're not taking much. And like your brand's even adding to that pie for everybody else. So you're adding finances in addition to everything else and market. So it becomes really easy to see how that works. It's not necessarily like $100 million hurdle and stuff. It's just like, hey, does your market support it? Do you have other factors that support it? There's a lot of ways to compensate rather than just like saying that you have to be a Notre Dame level brand. So that's it's a huge wild card too when you're considering. That's why Georgia Tech's valuable.
And keep it in mind, the way the Big Ten looks at this is the buy-in. This is you buying in. The original universities that were there that formed the Big Ten network, they all had to buy in. You had to build production studio, and you had this tremendous upfront cost. This is your upfront cost for joining the Big Ten. You are buying into it. Unless you're Notre Dame. If you're Notre Dame, you're 100% in. You're getting full share. No doubt about it. If you become a member. If they do a scheduling agreement, they would not be getting that kind of money. But a scheduling agreement would boost the Big Ten's revenues through their media partners by probably $100 million or so that they could get out of an extra from CBS and Fox by having Notre Dame games scheduled against Big Ten opponents like Michigan State or USC, obviously, getting that rivalry restarted, Northwestern, Indiana, Purdue, things like that.
So, Moan, is there any other updates that you got from the Wizard or thoughts that you've learned over the last few days?
North Carolina is where it's all at. It's in that little small radius in North Carolina. That is the epicenter of conference realignment right now, gentlemen. North Carolina has to decide where they're going, and they have to figure out how they're getting away from North Carolina State. And Duke is out there pressing hard, they're making an aggressive sales pitch, which is 100% fine. I mean, that's, the Big Ten doesn't have to say yes to them by any means. There's non-committal. It's no commitment here. But it's just, that's the epicenter right there. I mean, North Carolina's got to move first. How do they extricate themselves from North Carolina State? If they can extricate themselves from North Carolina State, where do they go? And then you have Duke, and Duke believes that they can get into the Big Ten without UNC or with UNC.
With UNC, you think, huh?
They believe they still have a path with UNC in the Big Ten. But it's ultimately going to come down to who's going to win this battle of North Carolina. Is the SEC willing to take, if North Carolina says, we'll go to the SEC, but you have to take North Carolina State, does the SEC say yes?
Well, I think that's a really good segue. Nate, are you going to be staying for the second half of the show?
I'm going to stick for about the next 15 minutes.
Okay, here we go. Let's go into this too. So, Mo, just to kind of add off of what you've talked about already, thinking about before the show, putting together a little bit of materials, right? On my thinking with realignment in the state of North Carolina, because like you said, it's the epicenter. Nate, also one thing, your typing is super loud. Do you mind just like everyone can hear the typing?
No.
So just
okay.
before we jump into this, just be aware of that real quick. Okay, so let's jump into this here. The burning of Tobacco Road, guys. The burning of Tobacco Road, the conference realignment analysis from 2026 to 2034, when basically all the media rights for the P2 are up here. So let's just do a couple refreshers here, okay? The SEC and the Big Ten Conference, the Power 2 that everybody wants to get into, and multiple teams in the state of North Carolina want to get into as well. The SEC, current payout approximations around $72 million, 16 members. We know that. Here's the focus: football dominance and regional power. Big focus for the SEC. There's more. That's not just it, but those are the big focus areas. Now, the Big Ten, current payouts, 76 to 80 million. Ohio State just got in the mid-90s, too, as far as their most recent distribution. 18 members. Focus, academic prestige, Duke, Stanford, and national footprint. Of course, football, there's a lot more, but those are huge focus areas, too. So let's take a look at UNC here, okay? So UNC, where do they check here? So what are the things that everybody talks about with conference realignment that's so important and everything to both of the SEC and the Big Ten? AAU status, research spending. They both want it. UNC's got it. They've been with the AAU for a long time. They are one of the premier members, an elite academic institution. Guys, endowment, UNC's endowments, the ninth wealthiest public endowment out there. And football stadium, they've got around 51,000 football seats in the stadium, in Keenan Stadium over there. TV market, Charlotte, Raleigh-Durham, growing market. A lot of new students coming into this market too. It's making it extremely desirable. It's just growing. Number 2 in basketball viewership, only behind Duke. Really every year since 2017. One of the premier basketball brands, one of the top 5. You can make an argument, top 3 basketball brands. And football viewership's pretty solid too. Out of all of the ACC, the number 5 through 7, if you're looking at an average of the last few years. A lot of things that both conferences like for North Carolina Tar Heels. That's why they're valuable. Really, their key strengths are the complete package, the flagship school in North Carolina. Again, they have AAU. They've got a lot of good sports elsewhere, Olympic sports, a ton of stuff going for UNC, the belle of the ball, as Mr. Greg Fluger likes to say here. So the key risk, though, like Moan said, the Wolfpack backpack. The political pressure to bring North Carolina State is the key risk with them. That's really the biggest risk with North Carolina is, do you have to bring along NC State with you? And that's what we're talking about here. And let's dive in next to the next school here in this realignment analysis, and that's the Duke Blue Devils, guys. So just to hit on some of the key points that we just did for North Carolina, AAU membership, yep, Duke's got it. Elite research. Huge endowment, a bunch of wealthy donors. We've talked about that already on the show today. A bunch of wealthy donors, a bunch of billionaires, business owners, hedge fund managers. It's crazy how wealthy Duke really is when you're looking at it. Football stadiums, one of the smallest, though, 40,000 seats. They're still in that Raleigh-Durham, same market as UNC. You're getting the same market no matter who you go with UNC, NC State, or Duke. They're number 1 in basketball in the ACC, and they're number 1 in the NCAA too, arguably. Depends on what metrics you're looking at, but Duke is one of the premier basketball brands, one of the top 2, probably number 1. Football viewership's pretty weak, though. Not top 7 in the ACC, not even close. Not great. Football's the liability. But what you get for Duke is elite basketball brand, academic prestige, wealth, AAU status, and you get the market, of course. But the key risks here are terrible football, weak football program historically, despite them actually winning the ACC last year, and a very tiny stadium for the likes of an Ohio State to go play in or a Michigan to go play in. So, guys, do you see anything so far that you disagree with before we get to NC State?
Before we get to NC State, can we get to some super chats and some memberships?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yep, let's go.
I was queuing it up for you. There,
Oh, I have it. Yeah, I'm ready. If you're ready, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Caden the Diesel Freak again. Back again, going back to the well. Thank you so much, Caden. Caden says, and if it would clear, there we go. UNC and NC State is going to the SEC. Duke to the Big Ten, getting their ass kicked by the Buckeyes. That was the last one. Let's see. Ohio State's old school uniforms are back, and that means nobody is safe. Everyone's getting their ass kicked by the Buckeyes, and that's a fact. That's another $5 super chat from Caden. Another $5 super chat from Caden. The Irish are scared of joining the Big Ten as because they are getting their asses kicked by Ohio State every year. Boy, I'm sensing a trend here, guys. And then one more from Caden, and then I'll get to the new memberships. Caden finishes with UNC and NC State are getting their ass kicked by Georgia when they join the SEC. So essentially, they're getting their ass kicked no matter where they go. So
it
I
seems
just
like it.
Jump in those. Listen to Caden when that comes around, I swear. And then last but not least, we have new members. Moen, Bulldog, Mississippi gives us 5 new memberships at the College Football Mafia.
Mississippi gifted 5 memberships to the College Football Mafia family. You now have access to all the Moen Confidential videos.
Let's go.
Wild Ute University videos in our members only section. We're also going to be doing a members only live stream this month. We will try and give you a heads up before we do that. Check that out. Shooter, Texas, Illini Ted, Dave's here, Landon Hickey, and Congo 3931 were all gifted memberships by Bulldog, Mississippi.
Let's go.
I know we've got one on here for him.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
Let's go.
Thank you for that. And let's get some sounders. We'll see if the soundboard's working since I restarted it. Caden, by the way, new uniforms for Ohio State. Sick looking. I love the metallic stripe. Very cool. Let's do this.
There it is. Dancing Buckeye, baby. Dancing Buckeye. We need one for the Bulldogs. That's what we need.
We do.
Is that it? I don't think that's it.
Is that the Buckeye sounder right there?
Yeah. Come on now. Bulldog Mississippi deserves the best. That's all I'm saying. Appreciate you, Bulldog. Thank you so much for 5 new memberships. And by the way, Moen, how do you get a membership if I've already got one?
Well, if you've already got one, you don't need one. But if you
I said give, didn't I? Sorry, I thought I said give.
If you need a membership, you want a membership, and we know you do because we price our memberships very affordably here.
There we go.
And we provide a lot of content on our membership videos. Definitely, if you don't believe us, ask anybody who's a member. They'll tell you that. We try and provide as much content for our members as we can. You can just click the little cash icon at the bottom of the window like Caden the Diesel Freak did, like Bulldog Mississippi did. And from there, you can become a member, gift a membership, leave a super chat, leave a super sticker, and get a little suspense music in there.
Did you mean to do that, Moen?
That was great.
That was really good.
When you do that, we'll go.
I would just say this. Thank you for everything you guys do. Continue to grow the College Football Mafia family. And I believe in karma. So you want good karma in your life. Think out and maybe give somebody else a membership. Thank you so much, Bulldog. We appreciate it. I'm just going to give one more post and I'm going to leave you guys to it tonight. I want to remind everybody, this is a link, direct link to the interview we did Tuesday, me and Mark Rogers on One Big Thing right here at the College Football Mafia family channel, where we interviewed Bob Thompson, and we talked about media money. We talked about college football playoff and basically how college football is going in one way or the other in the future. I recommend everybody watches that video after they're live done tonight. And then look forward to our next live show, which is it Sunday night, Moen?
That's right. Sunday night, Moen After Dark at 8 o'clock with myself and College Football Express's Rock and Rant. You'll definitely want to check it out. We'll talk a little college football. We'll talk a little Porkies. You'll definitely enjoy it. So tune in.
And I want to also kick off Tuesday night. I will be interviewing Jeremiah Dickey. the athletic director for the Boise State Broncos. And we'll talk a little G6. Are they G6? What is Boise State? We will talk about it on Tuesday night. So thank you, Ute. Thank you, Moen. You're down there somewhere.
Thank you.
Appreciate everybody being here tonight. And you guys have a great weekend. We'll talk to you later. I'll hit the button at the top.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Take care.
Peace.
We'll see you, Nate. Thanks.
All right. So, Moen, before we jump back into the report and everything and get into our discussion, I saw a really poignant comment here by Shooter, Texas here. And the question is, it's really about, like leaving schools behind and packaging schools like a backpack situation. We're going to get into this in a second, but I love the fact this was brought up because we're transitioning into it. The question is this: why are we to believe that NC State will be required? Didn't happen with Oregon State, or Washington State, or Oklahoma State, or Texas and Texas Tech. That threat never actually happens. We're going to get into that in a second. Moen, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's because the legislature in the state of North Carolina has basically tied those schools together. Similar thing has happened to Virginia Tech and the University of Virginia. But I think it's easier for Virginia to extricate itself from Virginia Tech, because I think the SEC, I think the SEC needs to get there bad enough that if the Big Ten took UVA, the SEC would grab Virginia Tech. And then they would both be Power 2 schools, and the legislature would be like, okay, just as long as we maintain the rivalry. Now, they did make them maintain that rivalry. Oregon still has to be played every year. Washington State still has to be played. So, but to be fair, Washington is by far the most powerful school in the state of Washington. Same is true of the University of Oregon. So they had a lot more political weight behind them than necessarily. Now, North Carolina State, there's a lot of guys and women in the legislature. Guess who their alma mater is? It's North Carolina State. They're Wolfpack. And, they're going to fight for it.
I think that your Virginia Tech comment could be spot on, especially if Virginia goes to Big Ten. And SEC's looking to get in the state, and Virginia Tech looks appealing at that time. Virginia Tech, because they're not AAU, they're not going to get in the Big Ten Conference. So Virginia Tech's one shots to the SEC. Don't see the SEC double dipping. So the best thing ever for Virginia Tech is for Virginia to go to the Big Ten and do a separation there. So just some aside thoughts, but this is directly related to what we're going to get into next year. So we've talked about already North Carolina, why they're so valuable. We've talked about Duke and what Duke offers, and some more of a niche type of brand here because of its wealth, because of its research, its academics, and elite basketball, and their willingness to do whatever it takes to get in the Big Ten Conference. Duke ain't going to the SEC. It's the Big Ten, really, or bust for them. But the next and last one of these targets we're going to talk about here in the burning is NC State. And we just have to highlight some stuff with NC State, some important factors. So first off, NC State is not AAU. So what that means, it automatically pretty much disqualifies them from Big Ten entry. Can we agree on that, Moen? That NC State.
Well, can we scroll up to Duke real quick, because I just saw this comment pop up, and I really want to put this one on the screen. If I can figure out how to do it. Oregon struggling as a university. They just announced a $65 million budget cut. I wonder what kind of university could help bail them out of that.
Freaking Duke. Duke. It's always Duke, Moen. It's always Duke.
All right, you can scroll back down now.
It's right on, though, okay? So NC State, not AAU. Duke, UNC, both AAU. What that means for NC State, it's basically a disqualifier for the Big Ten Conference. They're not going to the Big Ten. NC State is not. So they're looking at one target here to get into, and that's going to be the Southeastern Conference if they can make it. And the problem with NC State is you have you have UNC right there as the number one choice for the Southeastern Conference. That's what they want. The only situation that you're really getting in is a backpack situation with UNC to get in the SEC. But a couple other factors before we get into that topic here to note about NC State and some of our strengths here. But like one thing that I learned, they've actually got 3 or 4 billionaires at NC State, maybe even a few more. But they've got a guy that's like this guy named Jim Goodnight. That's like an SAS, like software guy. That's extreme, like a huge billionaire. Apparently, he donates a lot to the academic side of NC State, but not more on the athletic side. Look, if you can get some of these donors to really ramp up these billionaires to fund, maybe something can change at NC State where you can get a lot of money behind you. That just hasn't happened yet on the athletic side, but it could happen for NC State, just not yet. But I think that's good. That's a swing factor, and that's a positive for NC State potentially. Football stadium's the biggest of the 3 that we've talked about. Carter Finley, almost 57,000 seats in that stadium. That's a good-sized stadium. That is a good Big 12-sized stadium, just to be honest with you. I just did the Big 12 stadium video and stuff. That's a really good fit for where a lot of Big 12 programs are. Same TV market, Raleigh-Durham. It's growing. A lot of students, a lot of wealth, a lot of reasons to want to get in there. Really good business community. Basketball viewership, 7 to 9 in the ACC. So, okay, it's kind of average, middling for basketball viewership. Football, a little bit above average, but not great. Overall, what are the strengths for NC State? They've got good facilities. They've got good Olympic sports, wrestling, but they really are a Big 12 cultural fit. Big time Big 12 cultural fit.
Okay. Now here's
no
the thing.
AAU, blocks Big 10, and they're the third brand in North Carolina. Okay.
They're no AAU.
Yep.
They actually do close to a little over $700 million annually in R&D. They do more research than the University of Oregon does in the Big Ten. They do more research than the University of Nebraska does in the Big Ten. There's, I believe, 6 schools that they actually eclipse in the Big Ten that, in terms of research. So they're going to be under AAU consideration. They do have some things. I believe they don't have a medical school there, which does hurt them a little bit in AAU standings, but they do an awful lot of research, and it's a good academic institution. Culturally, I think it lines up much more with the SEC culturally than I do the Big 12. And again, I think to reinforce this, I think the SEC has to get into Virginia and North Carolina. I don't think they can not expand into those 2 states. And I understand Florida State, Clemson, Miami, best brands available, along with Notre Dame, obviously. The SEC needs to get into the Mid-Atlantic. They need to get into Virginia. They need to get into North Carolina. If North Carolina, for some reason, something changes, right now I would put them lean towards SEC, but let's say something changes and they lean towards the Big Ten and they join the Big Ten with Virginia and North Carolina. The SEC should target North Carolina State and they should target Virginia Tech. I think North Carolina State gets undersold a lot. And
well, yeah, because they're the third.
Part of that is probably
the most significant school in the state.
They're the 3rd brand.
Right.
They're the 3rd brand. Yeah, they're the 3rd brand in the state, which does hurt them significantly. Sure. But, I mean, again, add them into the SEC, get a few winning seasons under them, might take off. I'm telling you, look at the fan bases at the football games. North Carolina State has probably the best fan base experience at the football games of all 3 brands.
100% correct.
They are rabid football fans. They would fit in very well in the SEC country. The question is, do they want North Carolina bad enough to take North Carolina State as well, or can North Carolina extricate themselves from the Wolfpack backpack?
Right. All right, let's finish this out too. A couple more considerations here. All right, so critical realignment factors here for all of these 3 state of North Carolina candidates. The financial gap, we've already talked about that. It's massive and it's growing. The exit fee timeline for the ACC. We don't talk about this a lot, but it's out there. Like, we know exactly what it's going to take for the ACC schools to get out. By 2030, 31, it's going to be $75 million. I think realignment happens sooner than that. I can see realignment, at least the announcing, happen within the next 2 years, the next 18 months. But still going to be a lot cheaper every year that goes by and stuff. So it's doable for the ACC schools. AAU requirement, Big Ten wants AAU. That's going to be a requirement. You know, Moan, I know it too. UNC basically, as we've heard, has basically a handshake deal with the SEC to get this done. Doesn't mean the Big Ten can't change that, but right now it's a heavy favorite for the SEC. And it looks like to me it's probably going to get done. That's their number one target. They need it. They're going to offer anything to get it. They're going to get North Carolina, my point of view. Basketball, football, as a reminder, 80% of a media rights deal is going to be football versus basketball. So football has a premium about 4 to 5 times basketball. And the last factor here is the one that was brought up by Shooter just about 15 minutes ago, and it's the little brother problem. You could also call it the Wolfpack backpack problem. It's exactly what he said, which is amazing. Verbatim, I'm going to read it. Texas and Oklahoma left Texas Tech and Oklahoma State behind. Flagship schools don't wait for their little brothers when hundreds of millions are at stake. That is a relevant factor, 100%. That's why the Wolfpack backpack won't happen right there. There's no little brothers coming along anymore in this era of realignment. So the Wild Youth predictions right here. 90% confidence, UNC Tar Heels to the SEC, 90% confidence. They want them bad. They want them bad. Duke is a little bit less likely here, but I'm saying 60% confidence. Duke ends up in the Big Ten, almost a 0% likelihood that Duke goes to the SEC. We know why. You mentioned it before, Moan, what Duke thinks of the SEC. It's just not a cultural fit, but they want the Big Ten bad. As you've talked about tonight, 60% confidence and rising all the time there. Then NC State Wolfpack, 70% confidence is going to be the Big 12 conference after UNC and Duke both make their way out of the P2 and Florida State escapes and everybody else when realignment happens. NC State will have nowhere else to go. They will not stay in the disaster of an ACC. At that time, they will jump and do whatever it takes to get in the Big 12 conference, and that's exactly where they're going to end up with Virginia Tech and Louisville in the Big Ten and Wild Ute point of view here.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that easy to sever the Wolfpack backpack. And I understand what you're saying. I think it's going to cost North Carolina some money. Sure. It's going to cost North Carolina some money, or they're going to have to get North Carolina State into a Power 2 conference. I think that's what ultimately happens with Virginia Tech. I think Virginia leans Big Ten. I think both the Big Ten and the SEC have to get into the Mid-Atlantic. I think the SEC would take Virginia Tech. If they get UNC either going to have to play some North Carolina money to North Carolina State or figure out some way to make them whole. Because like I said, the legislature, if you look at the legislature, a lot of their alma mater, it's North Carolina State. It's not University of North Carolina.
Right. But like the little brother syndrome here, it just isn't a reality in today's realignment. Maybe 20 years ago was when VT piggybacked off Virginia. But we're in a different financial reality in a different world now. That ain't going to work. It didn't work for Oklahoma State. Didn't work for Wazoo. Oregon State. It doesn't work anymore. That play don't happen anymore. That is not going to happen in Virginia. It's not going to happen in North Carolina. You're going to be lucky. The only pathway for NC State into the SEC is what you mentioned before, is if somehow UNC goes to Big Ten and somehow Duke gets into Big Ten, and all of a sudden you just have to get in that state, and NC State is the only choice. The likelihood of that happening, in my point of view, is less than 5%.
Okay. Got a couple super chats here. We'll get to these. Caden the Diesel Freak again with a $5 holler says, I'm ready for Ohio State kicking ass, especially kicking Utah's ass. I can hear the professor complaining about losing to Ohio State. You know, it's even worse when you're up by several scores and you lose to Ohio State in a Rose Bowl because Jackson Smith and Jigba shows up. You say we don't have to play against Marvin Harrison Jr. and then Jackson Smith and Jigba shows up and I still think he's running.
Mona never tells me the story about the Rose Bowl. I was at the game, that Rose Bowl game. Did you know that? I was watching it live here. This is something that happened with Ohio State fans that shocked me. You want to hear this? It's a little bit rough, but I couldn't believe what happened. I couldn't believe it, but I want to tell you, okay? So Ohio State fans, I was like, look, it's blended. Utah fans, Ohio State fans everywhere. We had about 15 to 20 Ohio State fans in front of us and stuff. I was with a group of Ute fans at the Rose Bowl game. Dude, I'm serious. This is nuts. To me, this was absolutely nuts. Like, one guy's bringing a son to the game and stuff. He's hanging out with his buddies. They're probably, 40s, 50s or whatever. And like, everyone's drinking beer, having a good time. But like a couple of like his friends, like, are kind of baiting his son and everything. His son's got to be like 8, 9 years old. Okay. 8, 9 years old. And they're baiting him to say, hey, you know what? Say, screw Utah, screw Utah. And the kid's like feeling a little uncomfortable. And he's like, yeah, okay, screw Utah. And he starts yelling, screw Utah, screw Utah. And they're like, hey, say this about Utah, say this. And eventually it comes like, and they convince this kid to say F Utah about 50 times in the game. And I could not believe they freaking were doing this to some 8 to 9-year-old kid, man. That shocked me. That's going to be a lasting memory about the Rose Bowl and Ohio State there is telling kids that are 8 years old to say F Utah, man. Can't believe it ever happened. I was shocked. I almost fell off my chair. Moan. Tell me is this what happens at Ohio State? Tell me right now.
Well, yeah, but it's generally, you can say the F word. If you're a kid in Ohio, you can say the F word as long as it's followed by Michigan.
It was Utah.
I know. I'm just saying. It's generally, if you say F in front of your parents when you're a kid, you get the shit smacked out of you. But if you say Michigan after it, you're usually okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I totally believe an Ohio State fan would do that. Listen, I would probably be right there urging them on to say it. So, regardless of who the opponent was. So, thank you for the super chat, Caden the Diesel Freak. Now, Professor Ute has vilified Ohio State fans across the cyberwebs.
That's right.
Buckshot Kid became a member. Thank you, Buckshot Kid. We appreciate that. I'll give you a little, we'll get Sounders out of the way at the end here. Very upset with the end of Colorado Northwestern women's lacrosse tourney game. Big Ten screw job like no other. Very proud of the Buffs. Enjoy your weekend, guys. Thanks, Fergie. I don't follow women's lacrosse close enough to know what happened. But I'll take your word for it. The Big Ten probably did screw them over to let Northwestern win. That's what happens when you're a Big Ten school. You get the officials on your side. They would, you're out of conference, so they would definitely be on Northwestern side. If Northwestern was playing a Big Ten school, they would not be on Northwestern side. If they were playing Michigan, they'd be on Michigan side. But I totally believe you.
Colorado, actually, as an aside, Moan, Colorado ranked number 6 overall in the Big 12 in the stadium video.
Really?
And the reason for it is like they've been filling that sucker up over the last 3 years in the Big 12 era like crazy. 104% capacity every freaking home game. Because, it's an awesome environment that Prime's made there, right? But they've got one of the biggest stadium environments in the Big 12. I'm so impressed and stuff that they jumped that much. I know it's been rough and stuff with wins and losses, but they actually have a really juicy, good home field environment right now in Boulder.
Yeah, just too bad they can't get a winner on the field there. Oh, sorry about that, Fergie. Caden the Diesel Freak says, hey, you, Suplex City. So he's going to take you to Suplex City.
Looks like it.
LC versus the Earth. Great analysis. Hey, Moen, how many teams would Notre Dame be allowed to bring along with them in the event they join the Big Ten? Thank you, LC versus the Earth, because that reminded me of something that I did not discuss earlier. I specifically questioned Stanford.
Yeah.
And I was told Stanford isn't even actively out there pursuing anybody.
You've got to be kidding me.
Nope.
Wait, hold on a second.
Stanford is not actively pursuing realignment. They're not out there at the Big Ten saying, okay, if this happens, we'll go here to the Big Ten. They're not actively pursuing it. So either they know something or they intend to go independent.
What?
I don't know. They're not active. You got a lot of other schools.
How can they do that? They just don't care?
Again, they either believe that they don't have to, that, I mentioned this. I said, do they think Notre Dame's has Notre Dame guaranteed they're bringing them along, or or what's going on there. And they just said Stanford is not. They're just not in the on the radar, as it were. So I don't know if they plan to go independent, if they plan to try and hold the ACC together. We talked about this last week in that tier maker. If the ACC needs to rebuild, do they build a Western wing for Stanford and Cal? I don't know, but Stanford is, apparently, they're not making phone calls. So
that's a huge piece of news right there, Mo.
Yeah, so I don't. Again, you either don't make phone calls because you know you're getting in, because you know Notre Dame is going to force you in the same way. Because remember, Cal and Stanford got into the ACC because of Notre Dame. Jack Swarbrick bullied that through to get Stanford and Cal into the ACC. So maybe Stanford and maybe Cal to an extent believes Notre Dame are bringing them along. I don't know, but yeah, Stanford is not active. Duke is out here knocking on doors and pitching Tupperware and everything else. And, Stanford's, I guess, just sitting at home being Stanford.
That is unbelievable. Duke's tailoring pitches to individual Big Ten team members, like what we can do for you individually. Let me see. We're going to come in as a consultant and change your academics here because we're Duke. And you trust them. They're Duke. And now Stanford's sitting on his hands and not even caring, although they're traveling all these miles in the ACC. That's unreal.
Maybe Stanford views themselves as above it. Maybe it's the West Coast elite. Stanford just thinks they're above it, but they're not out there pursuing. So
isn't that kind of what happened when they didn't go to the Big Ten a few years ago? They were just kind of above it. They didn't want to share the research. It's basically the same attitude,
right?
Man.
They didn't want to. Yeah. They did not want to share.
What does that information change about your thoughts about anything? Does that change your ideas about everything? Because you're Stanford and Cal, you've said that's where you're predicting.
Again, I don't know Stanford's motives. Does Stanford know something?
Yeah.
And that's my thought. Is Notre Dame telling them, if we have to join the Big Ten, you're coming along? If Stanford knows that, Stanford may just say that's our best play. We'll just rely on Notre Dame. Cal might feel the same way. I didn't hear anything specifically about Cal. I don't think Cal's in anybody's wheelhouse right now, but I did hear Stanford was not pursuing, not making phone calls. So,
okay,
take that for what you want. Maybe Stanford thinks they're better than everybody else. I have a feeling that they might. North Carolina State has more to offer to the SEC than little brothers like Oklahoma State, Oregon State, Washington State. They have equal political pull on the Board of Governors, and they have a larger football fan base.
Not versus Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is a massive fan base. Oklahoma State is a massive football brand. It's a bigger football brand than NC State. Oklahoma State's the one school that bucks all that. It's like, no, if Oklahoma State can't get to the SEC, I don't see any way NC State can on a backpack. Oklahoma State's a massive brand.
Kenneth Maynor, I'm with you, dude. North Carolina State. I think it's a SEC culture. I think they would fit well in the SEC. But if they get the University of North Carolina, maybe North Carolina just pays them off. I don't know. I don't know how they extricate themselves, but you're right about political pull. I don't have the exact figure in front of me, but there's a large percentage of the legislature within the state of North Carolina are North Carolina State alums. Had Skyline Chili ice cream. God. Not bad. Wait, I see a future in 2030 where Utah is crowned big champs. True. Just the thought of it.
What are you drinking tonight, Moan?
I'm still working on that bottle of rye whiskey.
Hey, look, there's some goods that Wild you'd ship to Moan. They're going to be delivered by Tuesday and stuff, but I think that's going to be relevant for next week's Big Freaking Friday show. Just saying.
Absolutely. I'll be up that way, so I will pick those up. Thank you, Capo Major, for putting that into my nightmares. Skyline chili ice cream. God, like, I mean, really. Even if Utah made it into the Big Ten by 2030, they're not winning the Big Ten conference. Come on.
You know what? I am a Big 12 man, Moan. I'm focusing on the Big 12 and the growth of the Big 12 conference. But thank you for the super chat, though. Much appreciated.
Yeah, much appreciated. Let's see here. Got some more super chats here. I'm trying to get through these. Have we discussed the type of backpack North Carolina State is? Are they a Jan Sport or another brand? I don't know my backpacks that well. Becky, I haven't had a backpack since I was
Jan Sport.
In middle school, which was a long time ago. So I don't know. Is there a premier type of backpack out there?
What type of backpack would NC State be? I mean, a Jan Sport's like your traditional, like elementary school backpack. Like you can get that at like a Target, a Walmart, everywhere and stuff. It's nice, high quality and stuff. It's available everywhere. Everyone trusts the brand, knows the brand. There's a backpack that's kind of like for muckety mucks, like called a Herschel backpack. That's more of a Duke backpack though. Kind of expensive, like a little custom and everything, a little bougie. So definitely not NC State. NC State's definitely more of a Jan Sport to me.
Yeah, I'll say the most popular type of backpack I've noticed around here is transparent, because that's what you need to take into school. That's what the school board around here mandates. So you got to have a transparent backpack to wear it into high school. But I don't know what kind of backpack they would be. Well, for safety reasons, they're, obviously safety reasons in school now. When I was going to school, we had guns right out in the parking lot.
No, you didn't, Moan.
Yeah,
No
we did.
way,
I went to a rural school and we would have shotgun racks with shotguns in the back of our truck windows. If you wanted a gun, you could go to the parking lot and get one if you really wanted one. They did away with that. That school no longer does that though. But there was a time when we used to get a day off for, there you go, Wolfpack backpack.
What type of backpack is this? Moan, is it a Jan Sport? Is it a Herschel?
I'm trying to figure out if the paw on his shoulder is his back paw or his front paw.
Moan, this was like at the early days of AI development. I made this like 3 years ago and stuff, man. But it still rings true, and it's still like that wolf right there. It's forever going to be etched into the mind. The Wolfpack backpack.
There you go. I was going to say, in my school, we got the first day of deer season off, so it's not, I grew up in a very rural area, so it was not unheard of. So yeah, Becky, I don't know. Fur skin, furry backpack, I guess.
Look, NC State, here's the truth about it. Like, we want NC State in the Big 12. NC State, it would be a fantastic partner. We want them in the Big 12. They're desired, they're wanted, they'd be respected, they'd be loved in the Big 12 conference. They won't be that way in the SEC if they ever make their way there. So I'm just saying that the NC State fans, we talk about the backpack a lot. I get that's frustrating, a little jarring, but the truth is the Big 12 really wants you. Utah wants to be partners with you. We want to play at NC State, have a good relationship.
Now Utah's all about good partnership. Fergie, contribution to get Nathan a silent keyboard. Yeah, that was a little earth shaking, that clitter clattering. I was surprised he couldn't hear it.
I've heard that for the last 3, like, Big Freaking Friday shows. And then, like, what pushed me over the edge, so Vox is like, what the heck? Whose keyboard's just, like, slamming down? So Vox, thanks for the shout out too. That's all we needed to really, to get that topic up.
Appreciate you, Vox. Stormy Cyclone says, long time no chat, wrapped up planning, wishing everyone the best. Good fortune on your plant, Stormy Cyclone. Hope all goes well. Hope you can look forward to a bountiful harvest come the fall.
Let's go. Hey, Stormy, you're really going to like where the Cyclones ended up in the Big 12 Stadium videos. Check it out on Wednesday. You're going to love that, actually. Really good development for the Cyclones.
Becky says that Jansport was
Jansport.
Jansport. We all had, or Nike, LOL.
I never had a Nike backpack. That would have been cool. I think I had a Reebok backpack, though.
Old Vox Quindaro attended a ridiculously dangerous high school, and no one ever had a gun, thank the Almighty.
Right. You really had guns in your parking lot, Moan?
Yeah, but it was a rural school. It's not like there's shotguns. You had shotgun racks in the back of your windows, and you would put a shotgun there. It was not uncommon for, people to go out hunting after school. So nowadays, no, I'm sure that doesn't fly. But, this was obviously pre-Columbine and pre all that stuff. So, I went to the kind of high school where they did drug searches, and if you didn't have any, they gave you some. Illini Ted says North Carolina State is probably closest to the Dora the Explorer backpack, but they need to be more like Swiper. I don't have kids, so I'm just going to rely on you to figure that reference out.
No, that's legit. Every kid in that era, Dora the Explorer was super popular a decade ago. And every single kid that was in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, had Dora the Explorer. All the girls, every single girl had Dora the Explorer. It was everywhere. Shoot, it might have been 15 years ago. Something like that. Definitely.
I don't know. Frank Potter says UVA didn't have to change any minds, just their vote. Then Virginia Tech came in and won 4 football conference championships in their first 7 years in the ACC. Absolutely. The Frank Beamer years, good years for Virginia Tech. Very good years for Virginia Tech.
Now, Virginia Tech is a really good ad for the SEC if UVA is off the board. That makes a lot of sense. It really does. I think that SEC needs to get into that state. So Virginia Tech has to be rooting and praying for UVA to get in the Big Ten. That's the best thing ever for Virginia Tech. The worst thing ever would be UVA going to the SEC, because then Virginia Tech would be looking at going to the Big 12. And look, I think that actually happens. I'll be so stoked that Virginia Tech are part of the conference too, just like NC State. I think they're a great fit for the Big 12 conference. I think that's the most likely scenario. I know that you don't want to hear that, but I think it'd be a great fit, and you'd like being in the Big 12.
I went to school in San Antonio, and we always had guns in our truck, shotguns or rifles, depending on the hunting season. Yeah, rural schools, I guess. I don't know how it is in San Antonio. I've never been to San Antonio, but rural schools in Ohio, it wasn't a big deal. Was not a big deal. Utah is a good ad, but everyone expected them to dominate the conference. They haven't even contended for the Big 12 title. They have a ways to go before competing with Ohio State.
So Utah has been in the Big 12 for 2 years now. Last year, Utah was certainly in contention. Like, Utah went 11-2 last year. It's 11-2, guys. I don't know what else to say. Like, Utah was right there. If things would have swung the last week, they could have snuck in the Big 12 title game. But it seems like a lot of Big 12 fans think that Utah was a lot farther away than they really were. There's like a big disconnect there. Going forward, though, look, Whittingham's gone. There's a lot of change and everything. Utah fans are extremely optimistic about the season. Preseason number 3 team, top 25 projections and stuff. There's a lot of Big 12 fans that think that Utah's done. Utah's going to be like the 8th or 9th or 10th best team of the Big 12. Go ahead. I think this team's pretty good. I think that this team's going to make a run for a Big 12 title this year under the new coach.
North Carolina State, Virginia Tech, Florida State, and Clemson to the SEC, UNC, UVA, Miami, Notre Dame to the Big Ten. And that comes from college ball with beans. I have to imagine you're probably watching college ball alone if you're eating beans. So,
dang.
Must be a lonely existence. But thank you.
What do you think the likelihood of those stacks right there, Moan? Throw a probability out there.
See, here's my problem. I don't know. I think UNC has gone too far to the SEC side. So I don't see them taking North Carolina State, or they do. I think Florida State and Clemson are probably, if they're going anywhere, they're going to the SEC.
Right.
I just don't think they fit into the Big Ten. North Carolina State, Virginia Tech, UNC, UVA. I think UNC leans SEC. I think UVA leans Big Ten. And I think they've both got to figure out their situation with little brother. Earth shaking. How's about annoying AF?
They were talking about the keyboard.
Yes.
What do you think about the keyboard right there?
It was very clickety clackety. UVA Stadium is called the library. Students wear coats and ties to game. To wine and cheese for the SEC.
Super wine and cheese. So super wine and cheese. Like UVA is the Stanford of the East Coast. Stanford or Cal. It's the same type of school. You do get some snood, very snooty, snood, elitist. That's just how it goes with these places. Wine and cheese. Look, and guys, like the wine and cheese is nice. It's really nice to have the wine and cheese and everything. So I'm just telling you, like it's nice, and maybe the SEC would want a little bit more of the wine and cheese because, like, hey, it's nice to have a little luxury sometimes. So, just saying, okay.
And you're talking to a guy who probably has people over for wine and cheese in the backyard. So, yogging with a Jansport backpack. I will never not refer to it as Jansport. I believe that's actually how it's pronounced, is Jansport.
Jansport.
It's Jan. Bulldog, Mississippi, UConn, Virginia Tech, and North Carolina State are Big 12 locks now. Well, I know you don't want to hear it, but UConn, by the way, the guy who quoted out that the Big 10 had interest in UConn, I can go ahead and quash that right now. That there's no interest in the Big 10 towards the University of Connecticut. There never has been. There never was. I don't know if the guy misspoke. Or if he was just running off, or he heard that from somebody at UConn. But I can tell you, because I specifically asked about that, and they're like, no way in hell is the Big Ten looking at UConn.
Where did that come from? That's nuts.
I would say UConn of those three, UConn is probably the best lock for a Big 12 spot.
UConn. So, like, let's look at these. I mean, Bulldog Mississippi's onto something here, okay? So, NC State and VT, if they don't get in the Power 2, I am almost certain that they'll do whatever it takes to get to the Big 12. And, Moan, I know we talked about last week that you think that they'd stay in a dilapidated ACC. I just disagree with that assessment. I think it's very likely both those schools end up in the Big 12. What do you do if you want to go to 20 and you've got Louisville, NC State, and VT in the fold? Those are like your premier go for gettable candidates. And like, is UConn that last ad, or is it going to be a Pitt? If Georgia Tech gets left, it's going to be a Georgia Tech. I don't know what's going to happen with the Yellow Jackets, but UConn, Pitt, Georgia Tech, those might be the last of the stack to add.
Listen, man, they want UConn. I don't know what it is. The ACC wants UConn. The Big 12 wants UConn.
The ACC doesn't want them good enough to expand today, only in a backfill situation.
Well, we've got a war going on here between University of Virginia and Virginia Tech. I feel like we fought enough wars within the state of Virginia, but I just wanted to point that out. Rural schools are different than city and suburban schools. Absolutely. lot more fun. You don't learn as much though. But I did learn my Gozentas. Big to 24 without Notre Dame, but with a Notre Dame scheduling agreement. Could be Jacober Cat, could be. But more than likely, now look, see, he loves this. Look at you drinking out of a brandy snifter. Look at that little cute little glass.
Do you have one of these? This is a Glen Carn glass, Moan. I'm going to ship you one if you don't have one of these. If everyone has to have one of these, this is a whiskey drinking glass. Moan.
I got a perfect glass right here.
Moan, no, you need one.
Why
don't you smell the notes, Moan? The notes. The notes.
My liver feels the notes. I know that. I think Notre Dame, if they do the scheduling agreement, I tend to believe it's going to be a soft scheduling agreement, and it's going to be a trial period before they become a full-fledged member of the Big Ten Conference. So the Big Ten may go to 20, take 2 schools out of the ACC, go to 20, add Notre Dame as a scheduling agreement, and then later on they can roll out to 24 with Notre Dame as a full member, which, again, maybe that's why Stanford's not calling.
Well, I say no, Moan. No. Iowa, Jacober Cat, your team says no. Don't do what you just did to the ACC to us. Why in the world would you get in bed with the scheduling agreement and a quasi-relationship with Notre Dame? Kick them to the moon, make them suffer, make them beg, go on the knees and beg for Big Ten entry. That's how you do it. You don't give them some out right here with a scheduling agreement. That's the hugest, biggest bone thrown to Notre Dame ever. Make them beg. Get on the freaking knees and beg. Let me in, Big Ten. We've got nowhere else to go. ACC's done. You got to get in. You got to make them beg. You got to make them hurt. Don't give them a break.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for the super chat, Jacober Cat. Kenneth Maynard, the ECU Pirate, says many Wolfpack fans would thumb their nose at the thought of joining the Big 12. That's why they are a backpack. Yeah. Becky Go Husky says, Dora the Explorer still lives in my nightmares after my now 19-year-old niece watched it religiously as a 4-year-old. Yeah, I've never seen Dora the Explorer. I don't know anything about it. My last interaction with young kids, they watched this show called Caillou. You remember that one? This little bald kid that whines and bitches about everything. Kid needed his ass beat. Like, Caillou didn't like that the twins were putting carrots on their pizza. Well, fuck you, Caillou. You don't have to eat it. Fucking bitch-ass parents, too. Thank you for the super to go for Cat. Thank you for the comment, Becky Gohusky. Notre Dame scheduling agreement. Only
you just
way
said that
for...
about Caillou. Wait, hold on a second. Let's back up. But Caillou is annoying. It's super annoying. I mean, like it's good to hear you say this.
Just the worst. And his parents are always like, "Oh, let's talk to Caillou and try and set him straight." Fuck Caillou. Beat that kid. Notre Dame scheduling agreement. Only
his mom's always saying,
Utah.
"Are you all right, Caillou? Are you all right, Caillou?"
Yeah, and his dad's such a beta. For you, scheduling agreement with Notre Dame is the only way for Utah, Kansas, and Duke to get into the Big Ten.
Utah is a happy member of the Big 12 Conference. All I'm saying. And so look, Duke and Kansas, hey, I think Duke gets into the Big Ten. Kansas is a great school. We know that. The gentlemen of the Big 12 Conference. I think any conference would be lucky to have Kansas.
UNC will have either Duke, North Carolina State, University of Virginia go with them. They need a rival to tag along to the SEC, along with Florida State and Clemson. Easiest possibility is North Carolina State. I would add a caveat on here, Kenneth Maynard. The Big Ten SEC scheduling agreement is still in play. If University of Virginia goes to the Big Ten and UNC goes to the SEC, the oldest rivalry in the South will continue to be played as part of a scheduling agreement. Did you get looks buying that glass, you?
I don't know why. This is a standard glass, guys. This is a standard glass. Hey, look, this is a good whiskey drinking glass. This is the classic The Glencairn. This is what they use in Ireland, Moan, and Scotland right here, okay? I might have had a little bit too much whiskey though tonight, so I'm just saying, just a little bit more than normal.
This is what we use in America.
What is that? Knob Creek?
Knob Creek Rye. Got a little heat on the back end of it. I do want to compliment you though on his Christopher Reeve Superman twirl on his hair. Very nice, you.
Thank you. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
This show's gone so off.
It always does on Friday nights. Welcome to Friday nights, people. Fergie 18 buffs. See you too big because Southern State voting thing sucks. Well, I got some bad news for you, Fergie. I don't think Colorado's making it, but I think there you go.
What is the deal with like Colorado not getting more attention from the Big Ten?
Because Utah is pushing them down.
How's Utah pushing them down?
Because Utah is pushing them down. You're either taking Utah or Colorado. Right now, Utah just signed a private equity deal, and Utah's got a lot of stuff going for it that Colorado doesn't necessarily have. Congratulations with what Coach Prime has done over the last few seasons. He's certainly got the attendance up there. He's got to field a winner. He's got to put a winner on the field. It's great if you can keep selling places out, but you don't put a winner on the field. Ask Nebraska. They've sold out Memorial Stadium for 30 years. They haven't won for 20. They want winners. They want compelling football matchups. No offense to Colorado, but Colorado, outside of the Travis Hunter season, they really haven't done. And, I put it on Deion Sanders. I just don't think he's a good head coach when it comes to hiring coordinators. It's great that you can get Warren Sapp to come there and coach for somebody, but Warren Sapp was a great player. Doesn't mean he's going to be a great coach. Most of your great coaches never played football.
I would argue that Colorado's a lot better candidate than Cal if Stanford comes along. I mean, if you're talking about like, hey, like you're competitive on the field and everything, Cal Berkeley. They've got a small stadium, like they've got no fan base, like look, they do good research, they're good academics.
Cal has invested in football. They paid a lot of money to keep their quarterback around. So a rant about Caillou, Night Maid. There you go.
The Caillou rant.
I used to work in an office where there were some kids around and they would listen to I could hear the TV and just, Caillou didn't like that. Well, fuck Caillou.
Caillou was so annoying.
He was just such an annoying little bastard. Want to reach through the television screen, just smack the shit out of him.
He gets so coddled too. That's the thing that drove me nuts. He gets so coddled.
Yeah.
Like what my kids watch, like when they were little, they watched Caillou.
Like that.
You know what? You know what's a great movie? Actually, Kindergarten Cop.
That's a okay Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I wouldn't put it in my top 5.
What? For Arnold?
For Arnold, I wouldn't put that in my top 5. Listen, Terminator, Terminator 2, Predator, Total Recall, The Running Man, True Lies.
Kindergarten Cop is the best Arnold Schwarzenegger movie ever made.
Well, everybody can downvote that because that's what you said, and we all know that's wrong. Caillou sucks so much. We now need Moen After Dark anime reviews. You lost me on that. I got a nephew's into anime. It goes over my head. It doesn't make sense to me. Don't know. Allow me to introduce Mr. Wild, Peace in Our Time Ute.
Only the gentleman in Kansas. The gentlemen of the Big 12. And I do know because I've got many family members that are KU alum, gentlemen. They always win at sports, though. It's hard to beat those guys and stuff. I tell you, these Kansas people, man, it's tough to beat them on one-on-one sports. It drives me nuts because every time, especially BJ always beats me at everything, man. And he smiles, does it the whole time, and shakes my hand. I can't get him at anything, but he's a class act.
There you go.
Love BJ.
Kaylani acknowledges that glass is used universally on bourbon and whiskey YouTube channels. I ain't that fancy. I
Dude,
drink
this
right
is
from
like,
the bottle.
Moan, I'm going to be sending you one of these. What do you think? Would you drink out of this? Moan, tell me what you
probably
drink out
not,
of this.
because like I don't like dirtying glasses. Why dirty a glass when you can drink right from the bottle?
Moan.
I don't drink whiskey that fancy, you know. I mean, I went into a McDonald's and took a leak in the restroom, and they were playing classical music, and I thought to myself, am I dressed up enough to take a leak in here?
You know what, Moan? Actually, come to think of it, remember when you shipped me like those face products and stuff that like somebody
Sure.
like in your family didn't use?
Yeah.
My wife really liked those.
Oh,
So I do appreciate that, man. Like, like that. Yeah.
good to know. When I received them, I immediately thought, well, they're saying I have bad skin. So I thought that's rather, you know,
Very
that's
good
like
use.
giving somebody
Do appreciate
toothpaste and mouthwash at Christmas. You know, it's like, just tell them their breath stinks, you know. Why do it in a public setting with a bunch of people around? Here, I got you some skin products. Why, is my skin bad? Colorado is the creamy middle between the Utah and Kansas realignment sandwich. Creamy Colorado,
Man.
fluffy nougat, tucked between a Utah and a Kansas Jayhawk.
That is good.
My bicycle is seatless. All I have are riding chaps. Wow.
Okay. Wow.
I'm going to say that's a bold confession there, Jacober Cat. Thank you for sharing that with us. Colorado has a Natty and 2 Heismans. Utah has a Joe Theismann 2.0 injury. That's true, but Colorado has a Natty from 1990. Utah's been winning. I understand they have not won the Big 12 yet, but how many times did they win the Pac-12 championship?
20. No, like 2 or 3, man.
Yeah, 2 or 3. And I mean, they've been recently.
It was right when it was ending, right? That's when they
Right.
were like
Right.
white hot, right?
But it's been recent. It's been recent.
Yeah. Over the last 5 years. No, the Colorado honestly is like a sneaky good realignment candidate. You get Denver, Boulder, like really good economics in the state, population growth, the Buffs. You got Ralphie, man. Come on, Ralphie. You got the stadium there. You got Prime right now. You got AAU research. There's a lot to offer right there. Like
I'm not saying
maybe I'm
anything-
saying like a Natty,
I'm
2
not saying-
Heismans.
Listen, I'm not saying anything negative about Colorado. I'm not saying anything negative about Colorado. Read between the lines. Utah lost 4 games in each of those championship seasons. There you go.
Yeah.
They still won championships, though. You got to give them that. Are you worried about the Texas game being a 6:30 kickoff, Ohio State on the road at night? I'm not too worried about it, although I don't like the fact that Texas last year wouldn't let it be a night game for Ohio State. And when it's hosted at their place, they want it to be a night game. I'm more worried about the fact that we just lost a bunch of talent to the NFL. That's what has me worried more. Our defense is completely, rebuilding. We've got, I shouldn't say completely, but for the most part, rebuilding. Now, we got some great kids back there, but Arch Manning really came into his own at the end of last season. And I think with how young our secondary is, I think it can be exploited. I hope not. I heard a lot of good things about Earl Little Jr., though. playing the safety back there. So hopefully he can do as good a job as Caleb Downs did, but I don't think he will. VM says Utah winning the Pac broke up the conference.
There's no doubt about it, actually. Like, it's more right than you realize, because when Utah started winning a lot, they started giving losses to USC. USC wasn't getting in the title game. USC wasn't winning. USC hated that. And so it actually was tarnishing USC's brand because they were losing to Utah so often. So there's truth in this, actually. Think about it. Seriously, like, when's the last time like USC like made a big run and stuff over the last 10 years of the Pac? Darnold's here, and that's it.
Sam Darnold, the year they went to the Rose Bowl with Sam Darnold and lost to Ohio State. College ball with beans. Utah has never been an elite program, just a hard-nosed team that wins when they absolutely have to.
Utah's just a lunch in the pail type of program, right? Like, and so we just put our nose to the grind here, and we're happy to be in the Big 12 conference. Good spot.
I will just say this. I'm a Big 10 guy. If you make it to the Rose Bowl, that counts for something. Utah had Keith Van Horn and the Magic Man, Rick Majerus.
So Rick Majerus is the old Utah coach. This is weird, guys. Like, Rick Majerus was the greatest Utah coach of all time. Amazing Hall of Fame college basketball coach. Got Utah to a title game. They lost versus, I think it was North Carolina back in the late 90s. But Rick Majerus didn't even own a house when he lived in Salt Lake. He lived in Salt Lake for like 7 or 8, almost 10 years. He lived at the Marriott Hotel downtown the whole time. And like, he never went to the grocery store. He would order in food every meal at the Marriott. Every time for over like 10 years. It was insane. But he was a great basketball coach.
There you go. Jacober Cat says Colorado Creamy Middle is when you defile a snowman. Jacober Cat, you may have coined that one. So I'm going to let you coin it. You can take that. That's your name for it. You gave him a Colorado Creamy Middle.
Dude, what
the? Beans, unless it's the Rose Bowl, absolutely. Skyline Chili Pop-Tarts. Ugh.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, are you still nursing that shot?
That's not a shot, guys. This is a dram. This is a dram right here. It's not a shot. It's a dram. Okay? And I'm still nursing.
It's a dram.
It is a dram, Moen. Seriously, come on, man.
It's a damn bottle of whiskey. Utah only won a Pac championship because they demanded to join the weak Pac South.
Well, yeah. I mean, you wanted to be in the same division as USC and UCLA. It's a pretty sweet deal.
Jacober Cat says Greg's so cold he hides from snowmanophiles. Sounds like Jacober Cat wants to give him a Colorado Creamy Middle. Greg, I don't know. Keep your eye out. That Iowa guy, he wants to give you a Colorado Creamy Middle.
Gee.
People clean up after you in hotels. Some the good hotels, they will. The good hotels.
Like, that's like, it's an interesting thing though, right? Like, just living in the hotel. Like, he had like the suite and everything. Like, he had the penthouse, and so he had like the premiere. Everything was right down the street from the stadium, so he didn't have to travel much. I guess there's perks. The guy, Majerus, wasn't married and stuff, so he didn't want to have to cook. I get it, but it's just unique, right? How many people live in a hotel?
Yeah, plus, I mean, when you need the hooker to leave, you can pretend like you got to check out. So, can't glug from a glass, Wild Ute.
Hey, you know what? All I got to say is Oklahoma State is the most fantastic fan base. I love Oklahoma State, interacting with everybody from Oklahoma State. So this dram right here, this is to you, MBM, and Poke Nation.
And meanwhile, the other guy says dram is 1/8 of a shot. Who knew Utah was UVA West? Texas winning back-to-back Rose Bowls will always be one of my favorite moments in CFB. Well, I can understand why winning one of them was. Never mock a man a dram. Okay, maybe a man and his dram. Maybe they got cut off there.
Is Gygax right? Is it? It's not 1/8 of a shot. A dram's just a normal shot,
Well,
and like a whiskey, it's a whiskey, man.
To be fair, it's 1/8 of a Moen shot. If you fill it to the
What's
top.
the definition of the dram then?
I have no idea. I don't own a dram. You please don't forget to hold out your pinky.
I'm going to get you this dram glass right here.
Like I said, Brett Easton Ellis protagonist right here. Utah won a Pac title while Washington was down. Washington beat them in a Pac-12 title game without scoring an offensive touchdown.
So Washington was an interesting opponent here. Washington really is the one team in the Pac-12 that really smashed Utah a lot. Not all the time, but most of the time. So kudos to Washington.
Wild bridge builder Ute.
That's right. The gentleman of the Big 12, Mr. Vox, the bridge builder. Only the best from the Utah Utes.
Ute loves a lot when drunk. He does. He does tend to loosen up and have a little bit more affection. But, I mean, he's been down for the last couple seasons. So I'd live in the
11-2, Moan. 11-2.
No playoff berths. I mean, I'm just saying my school's won a national championship in that same interval.
I'm about to light up at Tarleton, man. I'll tell you what.
All right, we're going to finish it up here. I'd live in the Amman or Four Seasons or Mandarin Oriental in Bangkok. I don't think a Salt Lake City hotel gives you the experience.
The Marriott does.
The Marriott does. 1 dram equals 1/8 of a fluid ounce.
Really?
There you go.
Man, this is a lot more than a dram then. Tell you what. I had multiple drams.
Yes. He dram a lamb. Wild Ute has become truck stop material. Do nitrous. Do not do nitrous if anybody's out there.
What the heck is that?
It's
YouTube appropriate.
I'm trying to figure out a way to say this where people don't go out and look for it. You used to be able to, you probably still can, if you're making a bunch of whipped cream and you have cream and you need to whip it, you get nitrous oxide to whip the cream.
Okay.
And if you inhale that, it will cause serious problems for you. Do not, I mean, serious medical disasters. It's like inhaling that computer keyboard duster stuff. You don't.
Dang.
Yeah, it's no, amyl nitrate's actually different. Amyl nitrate is actually different, and you can't get amyl nitrate anymore. But, well, I better not give you that pro tip.
Don't give those pro tips.
Yeah, I won't give those pro tips. Oklahoma State and Colorado sidelines are so small, barely 10 feet.
That makes it more fun for the fans. You're right on top.
Absolutely. Very true. And I would just let you know, Vox Quindaro leather cleaner. For myself, for Wild Ute, we're going to end it for tonight. I will catch you guys on Sunday with Rock and Rant. We'll be talking college football. We'll be talking Porkies. I'll take some of your questions and comments then. Any last words before I hit the button that Nate hit last week?
Tobacco Road is burning, baby. It's burning UNC to the SEC, Duke probably to the Big 10 and NC State to the Big 12.
There you go. Thank you, everybody. We will catch you next Friday.